So we're back at it,
Yeah,
but we were just reminded what the topic is. So instead of me starting a new topic, I'm gonna
right.
rewind what I just said, and we were talking about homeschooling.
Homeschooling.
So
So what you were saying, and I think to a lot of people's surprise, that just might be the case, is that homeschooling is an option. And what I will say from being in the school board, the ugly truth is actually being able to realize that maybe and perhaps our children actually shouldn't be around certain people. And like when it comes to my kid, like I can't play around with that. So I can totally see why some people choose the option of homeschooling because again, there might be good apples in the system, and then your kid comes across one teacher that really like screws them over, or one teacher who actually, and this is another thing, and this is not something that the school board openly talks about, but they have to actually release statements of it. And this is something that like every parent should know about, is that there are teachers who create and are part of misconduct, and that might be misconduct for sexual behavior, that might be for inappropriate behavior. And at the end of the day, these teachers aren't, a lot of them aren't completely removed from the school board. They're just shifted around. They moved to different departments, but they're still in the school. So when it comes to just the borderline, the safety of your child, the security of your child, those are actually some things that people, I could consider, like I can understand completely why they're like, I don't want my kid in the school board, and I'm going to homeschool my kid, whatever it might be. So for sure, homeschooling is definitely an option that people can explore for multitude of reasons.
mm-hmm. I'm going to go back to that question that
Right,
I was just asking.
right,
What can we do to enhance learning and unlearning in our own homes? So when kids come back from school and they give us the dry, it was good, it was great, we learned the basics,
right,
and they go up to their rooms,
right,
what can parents do to kind of open up that conversation of making sure whatever their kids are soaking up, these sponges are soaking up, that
right,
it's the right information and then filtering the wrong information out?
right. So I'll start with this. Every household looks different and is different.
For sure.
So parents need, I think, what the school system expects is that parents have the time to sit down. Perhaps like, they might try to put certain not programs, but like let's say worksheets to go home where the parents can like check off and sign off to see, like, from a young age, if the children are doing their work, right? And as children get older, the accountability of parents become less and the responsibility falls on the children, right? And so everyone's life is different. Some parents have to work more than other parents. Some
Mm-hmm.
kids, we have Ariel twins. That's basically,
Literally.
basically, and so the kids who lack that support, what parents can actually do is be mindful of how your kid's feeling. Because at the age when they're in school, sometimes it's not always about academics. It could just be your kids so flustered about like life, what's going on around them, family situation, friends, relationships, all these new things that, young teens especially are coming under, and, experiencing social media, like everything that they're absorbing, it can feel like a lot. And so sometimes the root of the problem isn't even that the child isn't capable of, keeping up with their academics, in terms of like understanding, grasping concepts. They can do that. Their mind is just so full of other things. So I think, and today more than ever, mental health, mental stipulations are definitely becoming more prevalent
Mm-hmm.
within our society, within our youth. They're exposed to more. And so that's one thing that parents, number one, or even people who are around kids that are still in school, whatever it might be, to be very aware of. Check in with how your children are feeling. Like, are they feeling overwhelmed? Are they feeling confident about the work that they're doing? Are they feeling like they need more help in certain subjects and others? Because there's resources, there's people out there that can definitely help them in those structures. So that's one thing for everyone, and I can't stress that enough. Just check in with your kids, see how they're feeling. Some things to really like pick up on are the things that your children like to do, right? So your child might not, and I've seen this happen over and over, is your child might not be like academically an A student, and maybe like a B isn't up to some parents' circumstances, but the other programs that are available from them or available for them that they're, you know, trying to be a part of, some parents will stop their kids because they're like, no, you're not doing well in math, so you can't be a part of this program. One thing to really like keep an eye on, which is like for the child's benefit, is see what your child likes to do, things of their interest. You know, there has to be still a balance of like social life versus school, and this is not for every parent. Again, some parents will definitely not agree because some parents are like like school, work, whatever, right? But I find that a lot of kids, like if you give them the option of still having their time with their like something they're interested in, so whether that might be like they like to do soccer or they like to be able to go out with their friends on Friday, giving them that balance, or you know, like they seem to be excelling in, you know, computers. They like gaming. Okay, well you might not like history, but you actually might think coding is actually really interesting, right? So look into other, you know, things that your kid might be interested, and just try them with things. You know, you never know what your kid will stick to or like, you know, take a liking to until you try it. And again, for some parents, that's hard, man. If you got to work 2 jobs, or if you're on a single parent home and you got 3 kids, you know, some homes you'd be, you know, not surprised. I'm not surprised, but some kids have 7 kids in one home with one parent, you know. So just, and that's for the community. Even if you like, it's not you as a parent, if you see another child going through those stipulations, again, kids who have 7, you know, 6 siblings, 7 siblings, a single parent home, some of those kids aren't going to be able to receive that. Even if the parent wants to really badly be engaged, to some kids, some parents just can't. They don't have the time. They don't have the money. They can't spread themselves for 7 kids and whatever the case is. So some kids really just slip under. So community wise, that's something that we can all be responsible for, and we can all take initiative of. Notice the kids who are lacking, the kids who their parents aren't at the basketball games, the parents who, you know, like their kids aren't going to, everyone else is going to soccer and they're not part of soccer. Why? It could be finances, right? So those are things that we can definitely, that I've definitely learned from the school board that people can take.
Thank you.
I hope
I thought I was waiting for you to be done, but you were done.
yeah.
So for the kids and for the parents whose kids are attending school,
Right.
what would you say they could do to better prepare themselves walking into this world of ignorance? So obviously not every single classroom is going to be a safe classroom, not every single teacher is going to be a reliable teacher. So for those spaces that are lacking, what would you recommend for those kids and not even mother, sorry, for parents to instill in their kids when they are ready, when they are gearing them up to walk into these spaces?
Right. To guardians, aunts, uncles, cousins, people who have kids in their homes, who have kids in their family, what you really need to, I think, do is put, like we spoke about, manifestation, affirmation into children. Because, and I remember you said that you want to really speak on like Black students, especially in the, you know, the school that I was at. Most recently, a lot of Black kids, a lot of kids from marginalized communities, community housing, low income families, single families, you know, all these things. Sometimes in these structures, like, or in society, really, like, let's just be honest, we can't sugarcoat it. Like, they're going to go into places where people are racist, where people are going to see a young Black kid in high school and he's not really that academically advancing, or he's not, you know, academically stimulated. He doesn't like school. Kid might be really good at a sport, might be really good at drawing or singing or something else. And because they don't fit the school board criteria, the structure, the curriculum, there's a lot of people that are just quick to write these kids off. Like, well, you're not good at school, so I don't know what's gonna end up with you. You know what I mean? I'm sorry to say, some people will be like, I'm sorry to say, but they're just another number. They're gonna be another number in the system, right? So at home, right, in our communities, what we can do, like, I think it's so important, is to be like, yo, this might not be for you. Cool, I get it. You hate math, but yo, the way you are, like the way you are able to carry conversation at 14, at 16, at 17, the way that you're able to handle yourself, I can respect that. I can actually see you going far with this or that. Like, don't think you got to limit yourself. You know, I think a lot of these kids, because they don't fit into that criteria, the school curriculum, they're just like, well, I actually can't do it. I'm not going to amount to anything. It's like, well, honestly, it don't mean shit. It don't mean it doesn't mean your whole livelihood. It doesn't mean the direction of your life where you just like where you think you're going to be going. Like
Mm-hmm.
root that out of your mind. For one, they have to root that out of their minds, and we also have to root it out of our minds. Every child, every single child that you come in contact with, student, whatever age they are, they can change their attitude like we can. They can change their behavior. They can change their discipline. They can change the way they think of themselves. They can see, they can change the things that maybe they're not even like thinking as far. Like, when I'm 21, when I'm out of school, or for my post-secondary after high school, what I can actually see myself doing. Some of them just don't even like have enough people that talk about that with them.
Yeah,
So they
they
didn't know that,
foresee the future.
they love
Yeah,
music, but they didn't even know that they could go into like music management to learn how to like manage their friends who are rappers. Like there's
exactly.
whole innovative ways to go about life and to be successful to everyone's degree, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's something that we could all do. And that's the coolest thing. And it's the coolest thing being able to influence and inspire these kids to sit there and they're like, yo, miss, yo, I needed to hear that today, because I have those moments as in my age, I'm like, yo, I needed to hear that conversation. Like I needed that to like kind of wake myself up, right? So I think that it's something that like goes a long way. Yeah, you're right. Knowledge and encouragement goes a long way.
Yeah, I'm gonna pin that comment because that
Yeah.
is the truth. And I can honestly say, coming firsthand, like we're going to be speaking about this a little bit more with Lizzie too, so I definitely want to open up the conversation with you.
Right.
The lack of encouragement
Right.
in homes, especially, like my parents are African.
Right.
They immigrated here from Eritrea. They ran away from war. So like when they came here, all that they could imagine for their kids was, I want you to be doctor, I want you to be lawyer. So like to see anything outside of that, it's like fathomable. Like, what are
Right.
you doing? How are you breaking my heart like this? So, to educate parents and to educate youth on the possibilities,
Right.
and that
Right.
you don't have to be pigeonholed. There's success beyond the stereotypical jobs that we are fed into,
Right.
believing that they're the only way to succeed. And yeah, I think that that's definitely a necessary conversation, and I'm really happy that you brought that up
Right.
because I feel like it can also break relationships within families,
For
because
sure.
when you don't get that knowledge and that encouragement, you feel as though you're not worthy of pursuing your passion, or that it isn't good enough, or you're not good enough, because there are sometimes you see those people who are doing what you think you could do, or what you can only imagine that you could do,
Right.
and then you wonder why you can't see yourself doing it. But what do those people have that you do not, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's really important to talk
the
about.
the pressure, and I think we can all relate to that. It doesn't matter the age, but the pressure that, like you said, that's a really important part. That some kids, there's this different spectrum. Some parents or guardians are extremely hard on their children, where that B+ is not okay.
Yeah.
And so that goes back to my previous point, where people need to check on kids. You need to check on the youth. Kids in marginalized communities, coming from homes with very hard circumstances. Sometimes these kids, just like I said, they can't even concentrate in class because at home things just are like unimaginable. Like they're
Yeah.
unbearable, they're overwhelming, right? And so on the ball with that. I think people really just need to, be open to the fact that you can learn from the youth.
Mm-hmm.
Don't write them off. Don't be like, oh, they're young, they're not going to learn. Like some of these young girls, like, you just got to let them, oh, they're going to be young, you're going to ruin their lives, et cetera, et cetera. No, like, you can be impressionable. you
Mm-hmm.
know you can be a person of influence. You can be a person that actually inspires them to like explore more about the world. Because some, especially, I mean, look, our generation, right? We're out of school, like at the age where a lot of us are out of like high school, post secondary.
Mm-hmm.
But for the people who are in now, in our generation, our parents are first generation, like we're first generation Canadian.
Yeah.
So a lot of our parents, the same with my parents, like they immigrated from another country, from the islands, and
Mm-hmm.
came to Canada. And so for them, they worked 36 years at one job and they retired. They didn't have to pay into their pension. Like, these are all things my
Yeah.
mom has been telling me since I was a kid. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, only start to realize like how much taxes come out of my paycheck. I'm like, I have to pay for my own pension. Like, you had it easy. I'm not saying they had it easy, but what I'm saying is that times have changed.
Yeah.
So, you know, getting that doctor job, being XYZ, like what they want you to be. Right now, you can play video games and make millions of dollars. I'm not saying that's for
You
everybody.
can open toys. Do you see these kids opening toys and making millions of dollars? I'm like,
girl, I'm about to put Zachariah on. I'm like, Zachariah, here is your new luscious ball. And open it, unbox it. You know what I mean? I'll skip it through it. You know, but the opportunities are just, and especially communication, the way our networking works. Like, somebody from Ireland could be watching this right now.
Exactly.
You know, so it's just technologically the best time you've ever been in.
Exactly.
Let's use it to our advantage.
Yeah. I'm so sad that I only have 4 more minutes with you, because I actually need to make this into an actual full-length workshop, because it's this hour flew by, and I feel like we didn't even cover enough ground. I still feel like there's still much more I want to talk about. Yeah.
Let's put it this way. This topic is never ending. There's always more that we can do. There's always more that we can challenge ourselves to open ourselves up to, like, more opportunities, more growth, because our population's growing. That only means there's more kids, and there's more kids who are going to experience more tough, you know, factors. There's going to be more kids who are going to be, you know, competing for jobs, et cetera, et cetera. So definitely, I'm looking forward to that workshop, girl.
Yes, I'm excited. Okay, we're going to end off with 2 more questions. I'm going to do the fishbowl one more time. For those of you who missed the fishbowl, this is my fishbowl of affirmations and some funny questions that kind of just, you know, warm us all up. But before you leave, I want to ask one more question. What have you seen within the school system that doesn't coincide with a conducive, positive working environment, and like how would we be able to adjust that? I know this is like a lot of my questions are 2-part, but how would we be able to adjust these negative growth spaces and then turn them into a positive, in a sense where, like, okay, for example, a child went to school, they were told you are not like, you're not up to par with your math, you don't know what you're doing, how do you not know this? Just feeding them with negative comments. How are we able to backtrack these negative comments without knowing about them? I know this is a hard question, but
you know what? Something like popped in my mind instantly, and it's not as much as like having to, the thing is, I think that we think that we have to have all the information ourselves. The cool thing, especially with this technological age, is that there's going to be someone else that knows everything that you need to know about it. You don't even need to know about it. So you don't even have to know what that kid needs to know. All you have to know is one person, or find somebody who could talk to that kid about it. That's the wicked part. You know what I mean? So in terms of, like, the one person that came to my mind is one of my best friends. She is a Black female lawyer. You know what I mean? She's 31 years old. She is hella urban. She's cool. She's relatable. And so the difference of, you know, a kid seeing maybe like a middle age, for example, like, you know, male, or, you know, a white male, for a lot of them, you know, marginalized kids, all of a sudden they see a young female Black lawyer, and all of a sudden, like, they're just seeing examples, like, okay, it might not, you didn't see it enough, but representation goes a hell of a long way. So all of a sudden now these kids are seeing people like, okay, you see them, they look like you, and they did it. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because, you know, and that's the conversation, again, because we have no time, not enough time to get into, like, you know, the jump about like how the race and society plays on that. But that is going to be instrumental, showing kids. And again, you don't have to know it all, but point them in the direction where they can see somebody like them. And guess what? The cool thing is, if you can't find somebody that does that, what they want to do, then you build that. You know what I mean? You build them up to that person. Again, affirmation. You build them up to that person. Like, listen, that's going to be you. You don't see it. Like, you don't see yourself. No one like you that looks like you doing it. Okay, you're going to be the first. How cool would that be? You know what I mean?
No, I love it. All those negative comments can really disappear with a simple, just seeing somebody. Exactly. Okay, fishbowl, and then we out. I'm so sad. Okay.
I loved every moment of this, and thank you to everyone tuned in, because that's awesome. You spent your Sunday with us.
Yes. Oh, okay. I love this. What
Okay.
is something you, I love all these questions. I wrote them. I don't know why I'm acting surprised. What is something you want to unlearn?
Something I want to unlearn is holding others accountable at a time where they don't need to be anymore.
Ooh,
Right. So
that's
that to me, that sounds like trauma to me, like
yes.
uncovering your trauma, uncovering the things that
That
you go through,
triggered. Yeah.
triggers, you know what I mean? Like sometimes, you know, if you can find yourself still throwing things in people's face because of something that they did in the past,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that time anymore. Because that's not saying I'm not being progressive. That's something I want to unlearn. Like some people sometimes, honestly, and again, it looks different whether it's mental health issues, depression, whatever the case is. Some people actually want to stay in that, you know, that state of anger, sadness, depression, you know, like, and that's okay. But at what point do you got to stop, you know? So that's something I would love to unlearn, is that moving forward for myself also means that I have to allow others to move forward from what I'm holding them onto, like I'm connecting them to.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. All the sense.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I appreciate
Ah,
you, your
thank you,
time,
girl.
your gems, everything. I appreciate every single person who has given me and Jephina your time, your energy, your comments. We
Right.
got Corey saying unlearning what a career is supposed to look like. I love
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Because that's a big fact. I'm gonna pin that too, even though I'm gonna have to end this in 2 seconds. You guys are all amazing, and I look forward to the many other discussions that we're gonna be having.
Absolutely. And thank you for the opportunity. Girl, you rock. Your spirit rocks. I'm so happy to have been here. Thank you for everyone tuning in. Love y'all. See you next time.
Bye,
Okay,
everyone.
bye,
We'll
girls.
be
I'm gonna keep
back with
watching.
Izzy in 5 minutes.
Got you. Peace. Goodbye, girl.
Bye.
I think that might be the way that Instagram's lives work though.
But then how am I supposed to talk to?
Like in real time.
Oh, I'm lagging.
No, you're not lagging. It just plays to us. Like
Oh,
Like-
okay.
I don't know how to explain it. But you're not lagging.
Oh,
I don't know why it does that. Cause even when I watch other people's stories, it's like they're still moving as like the commentaries from I don't know how to explain it.
Oh,
I don't know how to explain it. Let me just move myself.
it's weird. What? Wow, no one's on. All by my lonesome.
Yes, ma'am. Are you not?
Yeah. It's just me, myself, and I on this live right now, and I'm talking to myself. Hello, hello. We're just waiting for a couple more people to show up. At least 5. At least 5 before I start talking, because I don't want to talk to myself. Hi, Bittersweet Heart. Thanks for joining. You know what? Since you're both here, I'll pull out the fishbowl early. Hopefully people join in as we ask questions. I'm probably gonna ask this again because this is actually one of my favorite fill in the blanks. But this fishbowl basically has questions, affirmations, a little bit of everything, and it'll kind of help us get to know each other, feel more comfortable, and make this experience a little bit more smoother because I'm really nervous. This is actually my first live, so fill in the blank. I share my talents with the world by. So how do you share your talents with the world? Please feel free to type in the comment section how you fill the world with your talents. all good. Take your time. Hi, Diana. Thanks for joining. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. We're gonna get started in 2 minutes. I actually just asked a question out of the fishbowl, and this fishbowl has affirmations, it has questions that kind of just help us get to know each other and kind of break the ice a little bit, because, you know, life can be a little awkward sometimes because I can't see your faces, but I would love to get to know you guys. So Bittersweet Heart just answered the question, or the blank, and the blank was, I share my talents with the world by blank. So how do you share your talents with the world? Bittersweet Heart said by writing and sharing poetry. And if you haven't read their poetry, I can say amazing. I would suggest you guys go check out Bittersweet Heart. They're actually, poetry's written by Kish Wrights, who's also a friend of mine. So shameless plug. But yes, how do you guys share your talents with the world? I want to hear it as we wait for more people to come into the live. Take your time answering. Hi, new joiners. It's a thinker too. Like, it's not even one of those things where you can like answer right off the bat. I was literally sitting here thinking about it. Maybe I should answer. I know, right? It's a hard question. To be honest, it's a hard one. I even forgot what it was. I share my talents with the world by... I share my talents with the world by doing stuff like this, I guess. I don't even know what talent that I would call it, but yeah, that's what I would say, how I share my talents with the world. While you guys ponder on that, I'll move on, because it looks like we got 9 people on here. Oh wait, Diana, you're funny. You have many talents, okay? I think that anybody who goes to school is very talented, because I couldn't do that. It's really hard. I love that. Love Talks TO says, I share my talents with the world by advocating. And now more than ever, we need those. So thank you, Love Talks TO. We appreciate you. Okay, so while you guys figure out your answers, before we get started talking about 6 degrees and what we're all about and getting to know these workshops before we jump into them, I want to kind of shed some light on something really sad. My friend lost her dog, and if you guys live in the West End, in the Kiel, let me just check, the Kiel and Shepherd area, she went missing on Friday. Keep your eyes out for the cutest Jack Russell. She's really small, predominantly white. She has like brown spots on her. So if you guys see her, I have her like owner's contact information, so feel free to DM me, or feel free to look on my Instagram. It's on my story, so you guys can get her number through there as well. All right, so we're gonna jump right into it. I'm gonna kind of talk about myself a little bit, and then that will lead into kind of what we're doing here and how 6 degrees came about, and how I had the honor and the opportunity to collab and work with Positive Vibes TO as a volunteer, which honestly it just started, but I'm super excited. It's been a hell of an experience so far, so I'm really excited for where it's gonna take me. But a little bit about myself. I do a little bit of project management, creative direction, art direction. I manage talent, and I do a little bit of like movement coaching. I used to be a model, so I kind of help people through their own photo shoots, which can be really fun at times. It could be really challenging, but it's really fun, and I kind of get to live out my model fantasy without having to be a model, which honestly is great because I don't want to be a model. But what I really wanted to do was I wanted to be a dancer. And if you can relate to me in any way, shape, or form. Like, my parents thought the only future I had was to be a doctor. Oh, thanks! I appreciate it. I love the outfit too. Thanks. I tried to match today. You know, it's not often that I'm on live, so I thought I'd go big or go home. But I appreciate that you noticed it. So what was I talking about? Yes, I want to be a dancer, and anybody who can relate to parents that, you know, really are fixated on you being either a doctor, a lawyer, or a scientist. Dancer was like the equivalent of giving my parents a heart attack. They thought I was even crazy for even saying the words dancer, because it's like, what could you do with dance? That is not a career. Which it is, but I'll get to that. I wanted to be a dancer. Again, my parents were like, that's not happening. So I pivoted, and it kind of made me a little lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't think that following my passion was always a good direction, because I didn't think that I can make a passion into a business or make it lucrative enough for me to actually live off of. So I kind of was just really lost and trying out different things. I went to school for event planning. That didn't really work out. I went to school for liberal arts, and I wanted to be a teacher, but you have to take like every course, including math, which I didn't know about, so that didn't work out because I'm not good at math. And so it was really hard for me to navigate my career. I was so lost. I felt like everything that I loved, I couldn't do, and everything that I was supposed to do, I didn't love. So it was really hard. And I had the privilege, I guess you could say, of having certain people in my life who encouraged my passions and allowed me to kind of grow with my passion. And ultimately I ended up pivoting back to where I was and going in the direction of my passion, which didn't end up being dance, even though deep down I really still want to be a dancer, but in another lifetime. It still brought me back to being in a creative space, which I love, and I'll get into that maybe sometime in the future, but I want to go into how that created 6 Degrees. So because I wasn't able to find resources to let me know that dance actually is a career option, I could have been a choreographer, I could have went on tour with artists, I could have opened up my own studio, I could have done a lot with dance. So if knowing that, I could have ultimately probably convinced my parents, or maybe showed them that there are people who look like me that are very successful in this industry, and I too can be that. So if I had maybe something like 6 Degrees, or maybe a program that kind of educated both me and my family about the various industries and the various positions that are available, not only being a doctor, scientist, and a lawyer, I could have probably been a dancer. I sound so bitter. So yes, 6 Degrees really inspired me to create a program in which people can grow and learn and explore and gain opportunity in a space where there's probably limited resources. So we're really aiming to just create a space for people who are kind of lost navigating their career, or maybe they know what they want to do, but they just need that extra help, that extra knowledge, maybe getting in